Good morning and welcome back to WKNI TV 25 Good News segment. This morning we have the opportunity once again to have Chief Wilbur Williams from the Andalusia Police Department coming on, talk about some things about school safety, local things that are going on a little bit, and schools getting ready to kick off. And, you know, it's time to be careful out there.
Well, we're glad to be here, Eddie, and appreciate the opportunity. What we like to do is to remind parents it's a good time, school's right around the corner, and this is a good time for us to discuss some things, remind them about some simple things that they can do, and then also kind of share with the community what the police department and the school administration's doing to try to make Andalusia school systems as safe as possible.
Well, Chief, we have let's see, how many schools in the city limits? There's
Three
of them. You got the elementary school, middle school, and the high school. Now, sometime, is it this year or next year that middle school and high school will be joined together?
I believe the best I remember from Mr. Watson that we would look at sometime next year in 14, that the two schools would be combined, so then that would be just two campuses. They would move one grade to the elementary school from the middle school, and then the rest of the middle school will move over to the high school, and eliminating the middle school campus.
Well, schools have become a big issue over the past year with the incidents up at what was it, Connecticut?
Sandy Hook.
Yeah, and you know, there's been a whole different look of security and police involvement in that as well. So there's a lot that you all have done over the past year to get prepared for that. Is that correct?
Well, it's a constant, Eddie. Mainly the public it fades in their memory as time goes from one of these incidents occurs. You know, it went from Columbine and it spiked, and then it went off, and then we had Virginia Tech and now Sandy Hook. So as time wanes on with the public, they tend to kind of forget or not ignore it, but it's just not that. It's not a hot button topic. But to law enforcement in the school system, it's a constant with us. And we're constantly trying to do things. And one of the things that we are real excited about, you did some coverage on it, was the implementing the ALP program for the Andalusia Police Department, which, you know, according to the company, we're the first, maybe we know we're the first in the state and probably the first agency in the Southeast to implement an ALP. And the main driving force behind that was school safety.
Well, Chief, that is a huge step forward for our community. And people just, last time I heard, they haven't really caught the concept yet.
Well, it's catching. We have, usually every day we have people that are signing up, that are downloading the app. And what we expect when we have our in-service day at school, and like I said, Eddie, this is designed for the whole community, but our specific intent was to see if we could improve the communication system between the schools and the police department. Not so much back and forth communication, but if a teacher, and you know, that's usually the first person that has the knowledge that something critical is going on. It may be in the office or it may be in the hall, but usually a teacher. Well, if that teacher has to notify the office, and then the office has to notify somebody else, and they have to notify somebody else, well, by the time we get knowledge of something going on, as we know, these things are over with. They are short-lived. They have a very short life cycle. So the quicker we can get the information, the better the chance we have of getting there in a timely manner to get involved in it and try to neutralize the problem.
And what's so neat about it is we even ourselves got to experience it with Detective Curry, and then it wasn't but a few hours later that I was out and we had a lightning storm come through, a thunderstorm, and I was able to report lights out, you know, and I didn't have to call or bother nobody. I just took a picture of the intersection and hit send, and I texted in lights out, and it went straight into dispatch.
And that's what we're adding on as the second and the third tier of the program. Well, the first tier is emergency. The second tier is information, and then maybe the third tier is the ability for citizens to report things like potholes, power outages, or whatever, things that can come directly to the dispatcher at the police department. Because, you know, everybody knows we're 24/7 business. We're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless. So, you know, we have that capability, and then we can forward that information on to the appropriate office so that those problems can be addressed.
Well, Chief, the concept of this came from a young lady that had an incident or was involved in an incident similar to
Virginia Tech, a
Yes.
survivor of Virginia Tech, not only one that was there, but one that suffered multiple gunshots. So who better and who more would know the value of the quickest notification and the quickest response? And I don't remember exactly what the report was, but in some beta testing that we've done, Eddie, we know that by the time that the teacher pushed the send button on her smartphone or his smartphone at the Andalusia High School, we measured it approximately 2 seconds that information comes in to the police department. There's no other communications process known to us that is that rapid or that instantaneous. So in these situations, Eddie, as I said, seconds are forever. And so that's what it does. It gives us the opportunity. We're excited about it, and we certainly hope that the public will take advantage of it. And as we know, the smartphone grow exponentially every day. So we just hope that we are offering the public something that they will take advantage of. They will help themselves and help us and help you fellow citizens.
Chief, I can relate to what you're saying. Seconds seems, you know, they're just so forever.
Forever.
And when I served in the fire service, we'd get to a fire and people would sit there and say, "Man, how come it took y'all so long?" Because the incident is going on live in front of them, and as seconds tick by, they sit there and they seem like minutes, and the people just don't understand.
Well, they're seeing their lives and their everything about them change forever.
Right.
And you know, and some of this is irreputable. You know, you can rebuild a house and you can do this, but you can't restore life.
Absolutely.
And the injuries that are sustained, they are so long-lived, and the psychological damage that it does to your school, to your community, is forever. So the better job that we can do responding, getting there, you know, we've gone through the training. One thing that we're trying to do there, again, get ahead of the curve, even though the governor mandated that all of the school systems, that law enforcement have the active shooter training, we were at least a month or a month and a half ahead of that schedule here in Covington County. So this puts us a little bit ahead of the curve. And now what we want to do is expand our active shooter program, and we're doing our best to get it set up in Andalusia, and I'm sure the rest of the county will look at it down the road. But we want to put the teachers through a active shooter course of sorts, which
that makes a lot of sense.
Secretary Collier with the law enforcement agencies, they're developing that, you know, and it's just some basic things, Eddie. First of all, we found one of the biggest issues at the school was the phrase I coined a little bit, the culture of inconvenience. You know, as we get to this stage in our life, we want everything convenient. We want the doors open. So we have found that if we can harden the targets, lock the doors, get the pass keys that teachers can use, but then the parents and anybody else go to the one particular door, that's the beginning, and then we'll go from there.
Well, Chief, it's astonishing when Detective Curry came in and showed me how that app worked. It was just incredible to see how individualized or how immediate it could be worked. I mean, you can get into detail, you can do voice, you can do video, you can do photographs, something happening at the school. Now somebody's going to say, is this going to replace the SRO out there?
Absolutely not.
You're still going to have your officers out
Well,
there?
and the one thing that we don't want, Eddie, that I fear in the advent of these types of things, the first thing people start hollering, put an officer in the schools. Well, if the people that are familiar with the layout of Andalusia Elementary School, where would you put the officer?
Really?
Well, if you put the officer on one hall, then what about the other halls?
Right.
And we know and I forget the measurements, Eddie, it was a significant distance. And if an officer were on one hall and he heard a shot on another hall, if he sprinted from that location to where he thought the shot had come from, it's
over.
still
Yeah.
a period of time where so much damage could be done. So no, we're not going to affect the SRO program. We would love to increase it even, but with budgetary constraints and current times, we just can't do it. So Jackie Woods will be back again this year as the SRO. He's filled that position for a number of
Great
years
man,
now.
great man.
He does a good job, and you know, when we combine the two schools, the middle school and the elementary and the high school, then that will kind of cut it down, and he'll be able to, or the person in that position will be able to function better. But we do the best we can with it. It's an important program. We want the citizens to feel safe, but yet at the same time, we don't want to create a false sense of security, saying that we have an SRO, and for the public just to automatically think, oh, everything is wonderful. We're going to be honest with the public.
Right.
We're not trying to, there's no smoke and mirrors. We have the program. He rotates around. Nobody ever knows where he's going to be, when he's going to be there, unless it's a pre-scheduled event. But we're doing some other things in conjunction with the superintendent. I can't compliment Ted Watson enough on
Wow.
the attitude that he has taken and the efforts that he and the board have gone to try to, and let's face it, Eddie, there's a difference between our philosophy. You know, I'm a police officer. Mr. Watson is an educator. And there's going to always be different opinions and different philosophies of things. But I can truly say that Mr. Watson has gone way over to listen to us and to look at the evidence and look at the past histories to see how things have happened. And thank goodness he has allowed us great latitude, and the openness and the ability to communicate with him is just outstanding. And I think we're going to look in the near future at probably the best job of security at our schools that the citizens of Andalusia could hope for.
Chief, the newest school that we have in the community, other than the middle school being built, added to the high school right now, is our elementary school, and that's several years ago.
Yes, sir.
And prior to all of these incidents on campuses, school campuses, a lot of technology has come along the way since then. So as new things are being built, and I know we can't go into detail on new tech, what's being done in a lot of situations for security reasons at the schools, but as new elements of the schools are being built, the new technology is a lot less expensive to install in new construction than it is to add on to. Is this being considered?
Yes, it is. And Eddie, regardless of how we slice the pie, anytime you talk about adding or upgrading a system, the thing that you have to consider is cost. Certainly you would say that, well, if we spend a dollar today and save one life, how many dollars is that worth tomorrow? Well, it's incalculable. You can't say. But when you only have so many dollars, you know, we recently had a small tax increase to help support the schools more. And I hope the citizens understand, you know, how valuable that is and what an impact that it will have on the school system. So yes, we're looking at everything. We would love to drive the Cadillac model of security. You know, and you being in this business, you know, technology is advancing at such a rapid pace, you cannot keep up. You can order the latest gizmo today. It can be delivered overnight, and you get it tomorrow, and by the time you get it, chances are it's obsolete. And it's the same way in all the security systems, but Mr. Watson has dedicated some monies, and we're doing some things, and we believe that all of it together is going to enhance our abilities. And when I say our, it's the team, it's the school, it's the city. We're going to ask the citizens to cooperate and understand. There's going to be some inconveniences. We just have to make some things inconvenient. But we just hope that the citizens will understand that. And if you let that feeling of inconvenience and anger kind of creep up on you, just let it recede back into the mind, saying it's for the children.
Chief, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we touched on, some of the highlights of the security and the safety of the children while in school and the faculty. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you about the common everyday stuff, because we're getting ready to see yellow buses back out on the street.
Yes, sir.
We're getting ready to see children standing by the side of the roadways, and we're going to be seeing parents pulling into the schools in long trains of cars, in convoys of cars, and talk about that and talk about how that works into the safety as well of the community. Folks, we'll be back with more. Chief, thank you. Hang in there. We'll be right back with Chief Wilbur Williams from the Andalusia Police Department right after these messages. Remember, keep it real, keep God in it. This is Eddie Lewis with Chief Wilbur Williams. Welcome back once again to Good News this morning with Chief Wilbur Williams, and we're talking this morning with Chief about the safety and security of our children in the schools. Schools getting ready to kick off next week, and we just got a few days to get prepared. Lots of parents are running around getting the last minute items for the kids and making sure those pencils are sharpened and the papers are there and the clothes are there. But your job is a little bit different when it comes to that. And we got yellow buses that are going to be out picking up children on the streets in the early morning hours. We're going to have children standing out on the streets, not on the streets, but at the bus stops. Then we're going to have that convoy of parents coming into schools and dropping their children off. All of this has a lot to do with you all.
It's an exciting time for little Johnny and little Susie and the masses of the children, but it can be somewhat frustrating and perplexing to law enforcement, Eddie. Certainly, the child safety, as we mentioned before, is the utmost, and we would just remind parents, we still, day in and day out, have instances where people are passing school buses. There is just nothing in the world to me that would justify anybody with any just a simple-minded person to pass a school bus, but it happens. We have the situation over on the bypass with the school traffic going in and out of the middle school. As we were talking, of course, that will come to an end here, not too far in the distant future. So I can assure you, we'll be glad to rid ourselves of that morning assignment. But yes, the lines will be long. Certainly, the first few days, it will be frustrating. There will be horn blowing and all. But we just ask the parents to be patient, give the newbies the opportunity to learn the drill. And as everybody knows, usually within a week or 2 weeks, the newbies have adjusted. The seasoned veterans have.
The dust is settled.
The dust is settled, and everybody is back into the routine. And that's what we hope, is it just becomes routine, and everybody follows the safety. Everybody, lets the school bus get out of the way, and because we say it over and over, but it never loses its true meaning. These big yellow school buses are hauling our national treasure.
That's right.
That is our future. Some of us are pretty close to Social Security, Eddie, and I don't know about you, but I find it that finding this gray coloring is getting harder and harder. They just don't carry as much of it as they used to, but somebody's got to help us on our Social Security days. So please, folks, remember our national treasure, our most prized possessions. Take care of them and protect them.
Well, last year, I believe it was, my granddaughter was getting on the bus. She goes in the county, and right there on Highway 29 in Strawn School Road, an elderly gentleman ran into the back of the bus as she was getting off the bus. And that's scary. I mean, when I heard that call go over the scanner, and I knew who was on that bus, it's a deathly feeling. I mean, it's
a gut-wrenching experience for anybody.
And you just do stupid things. I mean, to make sure your blood, your child, grandchild, or whatever is safe. And fortunately, she was. I mean, the bus had already pulled away from the bus stop, and however that happened, it happened. But folks sometimes don't know the law.
That's
and,
correct.
And they see the yellow bus as an inconvenience. And when that yellow light starts flashing right before they get ready to stop, somebody said, "Oh, I ain't going to get behind," and they shoot around them. Okay.
Well, we're asking, and like I said, Eddie, in our circumstance is a little bit different because in the city, our traffic is more stop and go, it's
Right.
more restricted. We don't have the wide open thoroughfares like the one you mentioned on 29 or out in the county where they have the wide open road. So, but it is still an issue even in the city. And, you know, if somebody's running a little late, they in the neighborhood and they see the bus and they think, oh, goodness, if I get behind this, I'll be even later to work. So they try
I've been there.
to get out and go around it. So we just ask the citizens to remember that there are some very strict fines, and we have a municipal judge that is not bashful. You know, he realizes the value of our treasure. He knows what they're worth, and
He's
and
got a few in the system himself.
He's got a couple in the system himself, so he will certainly bear no shame in dealing with situations like that. And our officers, we're not out here just to be ticket writers, but you know, for whatever the reason, if it's consistent year in, year out, or timing, or young people and children are very important to police officers. That's just one of those things we kind of, you know, we put them on a pedestal. That's where they should be. You know, they're not beyond doing wrong, but still they're valuable to us. So our officers are not bashful about it. They will issue the citations when it's called for. So please, folks, just follow the rules. Look at you can't miss the big yellow bus.
Right.
I mean, you know, if my eyesight's bad, but I can see the big yellow bus. So please.
And they even got strobe lights on
And they've
top
got
of
the
them.
strobes, they've got the blinking lights, they've got the sign that comes out. So, you know, let's use just good common sense and respect the school bus drivers, and most importantly, the cargo that they're hauling.
And folks, also, there's those flashing lights and the signs that say school zone, speed limit, okay? Adhere to that. If you don't see a police officer out there, those lights are still flashing. It still means something's happening during that time. The school administration, along with the board and the law enforcement agency, has picked a time between such and such time to such and such time that those signs are active, and those are to be adhered to. Just because you don't see the police car sitting out there or somebody directing traffic does not mean you can go 55 miles an hour down the bypass.
Well, that's one thing that we continue to offer a service to our community, and you go to a lot of communities, and usually our size, it's pretty constant, but when you start getting up to the bigger agencies and the bigger communities, the most you might have is a crossing guard. You don't have a marked police unit sitting there with lights on, warning lights, but we just remind everybody that there normally is a police officer in the street at MLK and 6th every morning and every afternoon. And that person is, you know, they put on the high-vis yellow to try to keep them from being hit. We've had a couple officers bumped just about every year I can remember. You know, a door, a mirror, or something. But you know, if you want to visit with the municipal judge, Judge Michael Jones, if you want to have the pleasure of appearing in his court, you know, that's one of the quickest ways of doing it, because that officer is risking and is at danger. And if you keep up with the trends nationally, there are more officers hurt in traffic accidents, being struck on the road, and die as a result of those injuries than they do from gunshots and knives. That is about a balance every year. So, you know, just respect that officer, respect what he's trying to do. He's trying to facilitate families getting their children from the home to the school, and in the afternoon from the school back to the house. You know, a lot of people act like, well, he's out there just to complicate my life, to make me late, or to interfere with what I want to be doing. No, that's not the case.
Right.
He's there to facilitate the orderly, safe people getting from the house to the school and the school back to the
Transition.
house. The transporting of the children. So please, just remember that and take that into consideration.
Chief, we thank you for coming by this morning to our new studios here on the square. Um, Beautiful, beautiful place. I mean, to be able to sit here and see this every morning and have a cup of coffee is awesome.
Well, it's unique. A lot of people don't realize what we were honored at having the district governor for Rotary, which I have the honor and the pleasure of being the president of Rotary Club this year. And we had our district governor in who lives in Fairhope. And anybody familiar with Fairhope, you know what a beautiful community that is. But the governor could not get over the beauty of Andalusia and how well kept it is. And so let's keep that in mind, folks. The old saying, you only get one time to make a first impression. That was his first trip here. And what a valuable experience it was for somebody that's going to travel not only the state, but this nation and the country that was so impressed with our community. We have so much to be thankful for, Eddie. And you know, let's build this community up. Let's all get together and get our shoulders behind it, and let's take this community wherever its limits are, instead of constantly trying to erode and tear down and be the naysayer and be the Grinch that tries to steal Andalusia. You know, let's be positive with it. Let's show the rest of the world what we know we have here in Andalusia.
On that window right there, Chief, where I sit every morning, there's a sign being made called Community Television. And that is what we're all about. It's about the community, and there's a word in that community, and it's unity.
Unity.
And we have to be unified in this community. I talked earlier this morning on the air about bringing Chris Havley over from WTBY last week and took him on a tour of Andalusia. He left awestruck. He was amazed about the history, about the beautiful town that we live in. He's from Dothan, and he came here and he saw our little town. And he went back, and we've got people coming in this week that he's bringing, you know, to come in to visit Andalusia. And he's been all over Facebook and talking about it on WTBY. So it's important to let one person be the, you know, other ambassador. We should be the ambassadors for this community. The business people, especially the media, needs to be positive in this community.
Yeah, the old saying, there's no I in team, and it just needs to be a team effort. We need to all work together, and you know, let's build it up. You know,
Beautiful town. I mean, come on. Where else in a town with this population and demographics would you have what we're looking at right now?
It's exceptional. So let's push it to the limit and see. Let's all get excited and see what the future holds. You know, there's a lot happening in the state. You have the issue in Mobile with Airbus that has the potential of changing that community forever, which is going to change the state forever. And who knows what might spin off or sling off up this way. And so
I just want to say airport.
Let's just keep our fingers crossed. There's so many things underway, so many efforts being made, so much hard work being done, that it's just time for us to all get together, the team spirit, and let's see where we can push our community to.
Chief, thank you so much for coming on today, and we
It's a
appreciate
pleasure
it.
anytime.
And we're going to put a camera up just so we can keep an eye on you. We did it to Mike Jones yesterday over there, and said we can let y'all know when he's in and out of the office now.
Well, I'll tell you, like I've told others, Eddie, if anybody wants to follow Wilbur Williams and they want to know what he's doing, if they're going to try to surveil me or anything else, it's going to be a very boring situation. So I get up and come to work. When I get off, I go home. I work in my yard. I work at my place. And, you know, that's the life of the chief of police here in Andalusia. So we'll be happy to see it. We just appreciate the support that we get, and we just hope that our people are producing what the citizens of Andalusia expect, what they deserve, and what they can always rest assured. If they have trouble with the police department, they have issues with it, the buck stops right here. And so, you know, you don't have to go looking. You don't have to blame anybody else. You don't have to look for me. I'm right here, and the buck stops right here.
Well, Chief, we're right here at the end of time. But we thank you for coming on, and appreciate your forwardness and everything that you do with this department. We're leaps and bounds ahead of so many places, and that's because we have a chief that's willing to listen to his people, and a chief that's willing to make changes, and it may not be popular changes, but at least you're willing to stand up for them.
Well, those decisions are based on 41 years of experience, Eddie, and the education to go behind it. And you know, I've often been accused of being arrogant and all this other, some other adjectives and things. But let me assure you of one thing: I don't perceive myself as arrogant, but I'll assure you one thing: I is as confident in myself as anybody you will ever find. And I surround myself with competent and confident people. We will get the job done.
And you are, and we thank you.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Folks, Chief Wilbur Williams right here at WKNI Studios on the Square. Thanks for coming, Chief. We'll see you soon. Again, we'll be talking about something else, I know, right down the street. Folks, remember, keep it real, keep God in it. We're going to be live at noon as well, and live at 5:30 here on the Square. God bless you. See you later.